What's up, Savvy Gang? Thank you for tuning in. And today I'm hitting you with King Solomon, which is kind of out of whack because in my book, um, I have King David coming before King Solomon, because that's his father. But I just felt like this is a short chapter, so I said I'm gonna get this out the way. And thank you for joining me. Thank you for chillaxing with me. Thank you for your time, for your support. And like I said, this is a relatively short little lesson here with a few pictures. So I will be showing, pictures and what I'm reading. But most importantly, I hope you are having a blessed day. Well, a blessed night as it is around like 10 o'clock um, today. So it's 10 o'clock at night. So, but hey, I worked. I worked a full day, and I had to get dinner out the way. So, I had a little stuff to do. So, thank you for your time, for your patience. Definitely thank you for your support, for your love, for your prayers. Definitely appreciate you. All right. So, as it's looking here, King Solomon, the Black King, by Yakana Fitz Savage. And I have two pictures here, but I'll show y'all what they look like. All right. King Solomon was the last king to rule all of the 12 tribes of Israel around 922 BC. Some of our men love to talk about how King Solomon had multiple wives for their poly purposes. They hate to acknowledge how him having around 700 wives led him astray from the Most High. This dude took part in some dark things. He created Solomonic magic, which is, and I'll say, the magic, it was already there, the energy was already there, but he created a specific way to harness it, a specific way to control it. Solomonic magic is a system of ritual magic that draws heavily on texts attributed to King Solomon, particularly the Key of Solomon and Lesser Key of Solomon, focusing on summoning and binding spirits, often demons, through specific rituals and symbols. It goes deeper, but I'll stop. I was saying that King Solomon was the last ruling king over all 12 tribes of Israel around 922 BC. King Solomon was a black man who became the richest and wisest king in history. He is not Mansa Musa. King Solomon would be considered a Negro today. He was from the tribe of Judah, the son and successor of King David to the throne of Israel. His daddy was light skinned, but King Solomon was very dark skinned. There was peace in Israel and among the Gentile nations for 40 years during the reign of King Solomon. Our people were in a state of heaven on earth under the rule of King Solomon because he ruled his kingdom in peace and wisdom. Around the year 1406 BC, we had entered into the promised land, Israel. Israel is the land that was promised to our forefather Abraham, but we did not reach the peak of our power until King Solomon. So, my people have been in the promised land before. It's no myth or fairy tale, as some may say. Our Negroes, Natives, and Latinos, history is very rich. Our history goes back to the very core and conception of our nation. This is when we were brought out of ancient Egypt by the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob around 1446 BC, which is when we became an independent nation. This is how I like to learn the Bible. This is how I prove the validity of the Bible. I never proclaimed I never proclaimed to be a preacher, and most certainly don't want to be no pastor, but I am a teacher of the Bible. I am a teacher of the Word. I am a teacher of biblical history, my people's history. The history brought out in my lesson will predate the time period of when we were just refugees who had migrated into Africa in 70 AD. First, I will examine and prove that King Solomon was a man of color, aka a black man. I will also examine what heaven on earth was like and how we operated with the nations. I always point out how King Solomon was dark skinned black because it's important for dark skinned black people to know that they're royalty. And that's real. I mean, when you look at our kings and queens, most of them were dark skinned. Most of them. Song of Solomon 1 verse 5. I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Comely is a word that means beautiful or handsome. So, we know from this scripture that King Solomon was a handsome, dark-skinned man. He even compares his skin complexion with the tents of Kedar. Kedar was the second son of Ishmael, who are the Arabs today. The tents of Kedar in the Bible refers to the temporary dwellings of the Kedarites, a nomadic tribe of Arab Bedouins. These tents, often made of black goat hair, symbolize a life of wandering and hardship away from settled communities and the true God. The phrase, dwelt in the tents of Kedar, was used to express a sense of exile, separation, or a lack of stability. In my lesson, I will show you an example of what the tents of Kedar look like. The brother that is in the pic above is here to show a comparison of how the tents match our people's dark brown skin. The tents of Kedar were made from goat hair that had been woven into fabric, which gave it its dark brown color. King Solomon compared his skin complexion to these tents. Notice how the tents appear to be black, but they're really a deep dark brown. Beautiful. When this is the tint, see how like they ain't dark, but you can still tell they have like a brown, like brownish kind of hue to them. The word black in this verse is a translation from Hebrew to English. In the Torah, which is what the Bible is translated from, black is pronounced shakar, which means dark. The first part of this verse, which reads Shakar war ha'anya, literally translates to I am dark skinned. Keep in mind, King Solomon did not identify his nationality by his skin color, just like we as black people should not identify our nationality by our skin color. If you are able to ask King Solomon what his nationality was, he would tell you that he is an Israelite from the tribe of Judah, the son of David. Now that I have established what King Solomon's complexion looked like, let's take a look at his hair texture and see if we can make some comparisons with that of the Negroes. Hair texture is very important when describing my people. We are known by our hair, which is so important that it mesmerizes Esau or Mayo or white folk and creates jealousy. We had to even create laws. Well, there were laws that were even created around our hair. The Crown Act, look it up. Song of Solomon, Song of Solomon 5, verse 11. His head is as the most fine gold. His head is as the most fine gold. His locks are bushy and black as a raven. There are two words in this verse that I will define to help bring out the understanding of how King Solomon's hair actually looked. King Solomon's hair was like locks, and his locks were bushy. Let's start with lock. Merriam-Webster's dictionary, lock. 1. A tress, curl, or ringlet of hair. 2. Locks. A. The hair of the head. B. Short, woolly, of inferior quality, as that obtained in small clumps from the legs. A small tuft or portion of wool, cotton. That was 3A. You see how they try and downplay woolly hair and try to make it inferior, like it says? But lice can't crawl through that woolly hair. Lice don't originate in that woolly hair. No matter how, if they don't wash their hair, only way they get lice is if they come into contact with somebody who already has lice. And after they put grease and everything in there, it can't survive. Here's the definition of bushy. Merriam-Webster's dictionary, bushy. 1. Resembling a bush, thick and shaggy, bushy whiskers. 2. Full of or overgrown with bushes. Anytime that I think about a bush, I think about the circular crown or canopy of a bush or tree. The circular crown or canopy of a bush / tree often resembles an afro, which is a known black hairstyle, just like locks and braids are known black hairstyles. Go argue with your mammy. Don't bring me nothing about no Vikings either. They traded with different civilizations within Africa. That's where they learned to braid their hair. It's no different from a white girl living in the hood or projects getting her hair braided. Anyways, King Solomon had woolly, bushy hair. He was a very dark skinned man from the tribe of Judah. This, among many other things that I have shared, prove that the Negroes are descendants of King Solomon. Negroes in America are from the tribe of Judah, Israelites by nationality, not by religion, but by blood. When his hair is described as his head is as the most fine gold, that is a major characteristic of Negroes. Nobody slays hair like we do. I don't care if it's a man getting a fresh cut or a woman getting whatever in the salon, shop, or kitchen. Baby, we slays the hair. Christ said it best when he said that we are the salt of the earth, meaning we give flavor to the earth. We give flavor to all cultures. We inspire cultures. I just talked about how um, even within our people, a lot of Mexicans, they do get upset when I bring up the fact that, we do influence them because when black people fight each other, they not slap boxing each other in prison, calling each other SA and Holmes and stuff like that. No disrespect. But when you watch these videos of Mexicans fighting each other and practicing stuff, or they are calling each other the N word. I seen a group of white boys fighting each other. They was all calling each other the N word. So, no one has swag better than Israel Negroes. Back in the 70s and 80s, they called it soul. Soul. You will know a Hebrew when you see him. We are the best dressed. We like the finest things, and we like to show off our beauty, even in captivity. Yes, we like to show out, even if it means spending bill money. How many of y'all done spent y'all bill money on them on that Beyonce tour? Right, exactly. Our swag or soul is also a part of what makes us different from the other nations. When King Solomon was young, he enjoyed showing out with his friends and just enjoying life like a lot of our young men do. He wasn't out gang banging and killing his own people because that is not what royalty does. Being an Israelite doesn't mean that you act like you are in church all the time, like how the fake, phony, Sunday worshiping Christians do. The Bible is reality, not religion, and the Bible did not invent Christianity. The Bible is the written, documented history of our ancestors. It teaches us our culture and the way of life that we once had. In order to figure out what this means when it says King Solomon's head is like the finest gold, I will refer to the Josephus Book 8, Chapter 7, Number 3. This is a day in the life of King Solomon. It reads Josephus Book 8, Chapter 7, Number 3. Accordingly, there went a great fame all around the neighboring countries which proclaimed the virtue and wisdom of Solomon, insomuch that all the kings everywhere were desirous to see him, as not giving credit to what was reported on account of its being almost incredible. They also demonstrated the regard they had for him by the presents they made him. For they sent him vessels of gold and silver and purple garments and many sorts of spices and horses and chariots and as many mules for his carriages as they could find proper to please the king's eyes by their strength and beauty. All nations love King Solomon. All kinds of people brought him all types of gifts from all over the Fertile Crescent. But check out how King Solomon and his friends at a youthful age was running things in Israel. From the same Josephus, Book 8, Chapter 7, Number 3. Their writers also were a further ornament to them, being, in the first place, young men and the most delightful flower of their age, and being eminent for their largeness, and far taller than other men. They had also very long heads of hair hanging down, and were clothed in garments of Tyrian purple. Tyrian purple. They had also dust of gold every day sprinkled on their hair, so that their heads sparkled with the reflection of the sunbeams from the gold. Just extra. Extra. Dust of gold in the hair, it sounds like some black people ish to me. No one shows out like this but our people. Just extra for no reason. Extra, extra. Read all about it. It's the black folks. The real children of Israel. We always been flashy. Who predominantly wears golds, aka grills, in their mouth. Who are the flashy ones? I am not glorifying this behavior. That behavior was okay when we as a nation was in control of the world because we were in good grace with the Most High. But since we fell from grace, power, and control of the world, this behavior makes us look like a joke. The living beyond our means, flashy behavior of our people today, which is heavily influenced by poisonous rap music, shows financial illiteracy. Today, we as a nation have no banks, hospitals, media, etc. We are a financial opportunity for other nations to exploit us. And they have. When most of us do get some serious coin, we waste it being flashy. Not all, but most of us do. Some of our people can't prosper because they have to take the whole hood with them. I think about that black woman, Marie is her name, I think, who hit the lottery but ruined it all on a funky man. Shaking my head. Couldn't be me because I know how to say no, and a few other colorful choice words as well. Couldn't be me because I know how to say no, and a few other colorful choice words as well. I had to learn that everyone would not make it to the top with me, and that's why it's lonely at the top. Everyone does not deserve my love, time, and abundant energy. Going up yonder to the top, that load gets heavy, especially when you are carrying others. It's better to get dead weight off before the ascension rather than throwing them off along the way like I did. But I digress. The reason why the scriptures say that King Solomon's hair was like the most fine gold is because he had real gold dust sprinkled into his woolly, bushy locks, afro or braids, or however he decided to wear it. He was a very tall, dark skinned black man who rode with a clique and entourage of young men. They were black. They black. um, from the same Josephus, Book 8, Chapter 7, Number 3. The king himself rode upon a chariot in the midst of these men who were still in armor and had their bows fitted to them. He had on a white garment and used to take his progress out of the city in the morning. There was a certain place about 50 furlongs distant from Jerusalem, which is called Etham. Very pleasant it is, and fine gardens, and abounding in rivulets, rivulets, rivulets of water. Thither did he use to go out in the morning, sitting on high in his chariot. There was nothing average about him. I bet that it's probably safe to say that his chariot was pimped out, like on Pimp My Ride would exhibit as well. Let's let's examine the throne of King Solomon. First Kings 10 verse 18. Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory and overlaid it with the best gold. The throne had 6 steps, and the top of the throne was round behind, and there were stays on either side of the place of the seat, and 2 lions stood beside the stays, and 12 lions stood there on the one side and on the other upon the 6 steps. There was not the like made in any kingdom. King Solomon understood how to tame wild beasts such as lions because he could communicate with them. Wisdom of Solomon 7 verse 17. For he hath given me certain knowledge of the things that are, namely, to know how the world was made and the operation of the elements. Reading down. Verse 20. The natures of the living creatures and the furies of wild beasts, the violence of winds and the reasonings of men, the diversities of plants and the virtues of roots. He had lions which stood on each side of his throne. The definition of the word nature gives a lot of meaning behind what King Solomon knew about wild beasts. He knew about plants and spirits as well. He was brilliant. Merriam-Webster's Dictionary, nature, the disposition or temperament. 2. Tendencies, desires, or instincts governing behavior. 3. The normal biological need or urges of the body. 4. Sort, kind, character. If King Solomon wanted to have all 12 of his lions attack whomever, all he probably had to do is say the word. King Solomon knew how to communicate with his lions. The scripture says that he understood the furies of wild beasts. I have seen black men walking and living amongst lions in Africa. They can have it. Wisdom of Solomon 7 verse 21. And all such things as are either secret or manifest, them I know. 1 Kings 10 and 21. And all King Solomon's drinking vessels were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold, none were of silver. It was nothing accounted of in the days of Solomon. What you have just read or heard me read is just a small glimpse of what is to come once we re-enter into the promised land. And where's the promised land? Israel. Not that thing that they came up with. Israel is bigger than that. 1 Kings 10 verse 23, King James Version. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. You know who reminds me of King Solomon? A few comes to mind, like Conscious Lee and 2 Chainz. but that Dr. Yakai brother or Yaki brother really reminds me of King Solomon. I pray for him, his family, that the Most High blesses them and keeps them. I pray that the Lord makes his face shine upon him, his family, and the Most High is gracious unto them. I pray that the Lord lifts up his countenance upon them and gives them peace and safety. Amen. Deuteronomy 4 verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who hath God so nigh unto them, as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? Wake up, Judah. Got some pictures. I'm only at 32 minutes, and I'll finish this lesson. So I should probably do Esther as well to make this a full video. I'm kind of hungry though, if you can't hear. Focus. All right, going right into it. Queen Hadassah, the origins of Purim, the last holy feast day, by Yakana Fitz Savage. All right, so you see that picture of those women with the head wraps and stuff like that? They look really beautiful. I mean, our people have always worn head wraps, do rags, things that would be considered do rags, bonnets, all kind of stuff, turbans. We've always wore that, and so but continuing on, you look at Muslim women and be like, I wouldn't wear that. But did you know they actually got their style of dress from our ancestors? From our ancestors? So did the Chinese and Japanese with their kimonos and yukatas. Their men get their yukatas from us too. This is how we dressed even before Africa. Erica Badu has been trying to tell you this whole time. Oh, on and on and on and on. Marriage is biblical, even down to a woman wearing a veil. When our ancestor Rebecca knew she was about to meet her husband Isaac, our ancestor as well, she covered her face with a veil. Genesis 24:62 through 67, King James Version. Our people have always wed each other, even during times of slavery. We might not have been counted, but we still wed each other. That's where the whole jumping the broom came in. What you are about to learn is Black history coming out of the East Indian Empire known as the Persian and Mede Empire. So yeah, let me repeat that for you. What you about to learn is Black history coming out of the East Indian Empire known as the Persian and Mede Empire. Hadassah was a Benjamite queen of Persia. And so Benjamite means she was from the 12 tribes of Israel, from the southern kingdom, which was the southern kingdom was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And so she come from Benjamin. Hadassah was a Benjamite queen of Persia. Today, her descendants are the slaves that were brought to the Caribbean islands by way of the transatlantic slave trade. Queen Hadassah goes down in Israelite history as one of the most prominent women among many other prominent women of our ancestors. Zephaniah 3, verse 19. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out, and I will get them praise and fame, and I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. Esther was an orphan who was adopted by her uncle during the Persian and Mede Empire. The origins of the holy day called Purim begins with her, an Israelite woman, whose Hebrew name was Hadassah. She was given a Persian name by her uncle, which translates in English to Esther. Esther is one of the books in the Bible, but it's not complete. She ascended from being a slave to becoming the queen of Persia. Esther was known for being very beautiful. I guess pretty privilege has always been a thing. The Most High used Hadassah to save our people from being annihilated by some of the Persians who hated us. The Persian and Medes are the ones who conquered the Babylonian Empire around 539 BC. The Persian and Mede Empire ranged from Asia all the way up into Europe and down into parts of Africa. The Persian and Mede Empire was a dual kingdom consisting of Persians, who are today more commonly known as East Indians, but they are of Shem. They are also known as Arabs, sons of Ishmael, and Medes, who are known today as Iraqi and Iranian people from the seed of Japheth. Eventually, the Persians and Mede were repelled to the lands that they dwell in today: Iraq, Iran, and India. This is what the movie 300 was all about. The Greek Empire conquered the Persian and Mede Empire around 333 BC. In order to locate our ancestors, in the Persian Empire, start by reading from the book of Esther. It is an incredibly good read. In order to gain a full understanding of the holy day called Purim, I encourage you to read the book of Esther. Below is a brief summary of this history that I have combined with scriptures to help shorten this lesson, because I know that many are too lazy or simply don't care to do their own research. So, the story of Esther. The story has 3 episodes. First, Vashti was queen of Persia, but she was banished, and Esther became queen. See the Bible text at Esther 1 and 2. Queen Vashti disobeyed the orders of her husband, King Ahasuerus, so he divorced her. Lonely, he sought a new queen who was to be the most beautiful woman in the land. A young Hebrew orphan, Esther was chosen. She kept her Hebrew identity secret. Her cousin Mordecai, a servant of the king, overheard a plot to kill the king and warned the king through Esther. And I have some pictures, but I will come back and show them to you. Haman leading Mordecai on the royal horse, 2006, 70 by 33, Smalty gold, Smalty Venetian glass, gold leaf photo, Ted Clark. That was the caption under it. In order for Esther to be able to hide her true identity, her being a Jew, means that she would have had to have been dark skinned, also like the Persians of that time period. Today, Persians are also known as East Indian or Arabic people, who are also dark skinned people like black people are. Our people blended in among the Persians when they ruled, so it was difficult to determine Esther's nationality. Another thing that proves the people of the Bible were not white people. Another thing that proves the people of the Bible were not white people. If Esther were white, she would have stuck out like a sore thumb among the East Indian and Arabic people during those times if she was trying to hide her nationality. Esther was from the tribe of Benjamin of the nation of Israel. Today, the people of Benjamin are the people of the Caribbean islands. Here's proof of her tribe. Esther 2 verse 5. Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite. 6. Who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther's uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace, the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women. Verse 10. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. You read that again, verse 10. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. So she hid who she was. This another picture. Photo by Ted Clark. Second, Esther saved Mordecai from Haman. Esther 3 through 8, verse 14. Mordecai offended a high court official called Haman, who decided to kill not only Mordecai, but all the Jews in the Persian Empire. Esther turned the tables on Mordecai. She pleaded with the king at the 2 banquets she gave, and Haman was horribly punished. He was hanged on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. Look at God. Just look at God. Dig that ditch. Third, Esther saved the Hebrew people. Esther 8, 15 through Esther 8, verse 15 through 10. Letters were, One moment. Okay, let me reread this. Had too many typos. Second, Esther saved Mordecai from Haman. And you can read about that, Esther 3, verses 5 through 14. Mordecai offended a high court official called Haman. He would not bow to him. That's how he offended him. Because Mordecai would not bow to Haman, who decided to kill not only Mordecai, but all the Jews in the Persian Empire. Esther turned the tables on Mordecai. In Esther 5, King James Version, she pleaded with the king at 2 different banquets. So she had a banquet, and the first banquet was in Esther 5, where the king pretty much asked her, what does she want? And then she gave the, oh, if I found favor in thy sight. She gave one of them. And so she pleaded with the king at the 2 banquets she gave, and Haman was horribly punished. He had to honor Mordecai, I think, and that was in Esther 6. he had to turn around and honor him. But then Haman was horribly punished. He was hanged on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai, and that was in Esther 7. Third, Esther saved the Hebrew people, Esther 8, like 10 through 15. Letters were sent throughout the kingdom repealing the decree, and the Israelite people in Persia were saved, and an annual festival was celebrated to commemorate the courage of Esther and the deliverance of the Jews. This festival is called Purim. And so, this is not in my book, but Purim is pretty much like our version of Christmas, except for there's no Christmas tree, there's no holiday ham. You can still make your turkey and dressing, your greens and your macaroni and cheese, and you can still make those foods. It's just no pork because that's abominable, and no raccoon and all that other stuff y'all be putting in y'all gumbo, whatever. But the main thing is you gather, you eat, and you tell this story about what happened. You remember what happened, the reason why you gather, and you can give gifts. So no, it's not on December 25th. It's actually in February, the last month of the year, according to the Most High. Esther 9, verse 19. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another. See? And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly. As the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts. This is in the scriptures. You can read this. Esther 9, verses 19 through 22. So the month of Adar falls on the 12th and last month of the lunar calendar, which is in February according to the Gregorian calendar. Purim is a 2-day celebration which begins on the 14th day of the month Adar at sundown. During this time, our ancestors gave gifts to one another. They also gave gifts to the poor. So instead of celebrating the pagan holiday called Christ Mass and Valentine's Day, which has nothing to do with our people, you can buy your spouse and kids a gift to commemorate how the Most High worked through Queen Esther to save our people from the brink of destruction. This is our true culture and history. You can also read previously in the section of Benjamin for further proof that the tribe of Benjamin are today known as the Caribbean Islands. Hashtag wake up, Benjamin. Then I have one last picture here. Well, actually, a few. You'll see them. You'll see them. You'll see them. You'll see them. All right, and then In the Bible, there is a book named Esther. If you go to chapter 10, you will notice there's only 3 verses. That is because the rest of the book of Esther is in the Apocrypha. The 14 books removed by the Roman Catholic Church, and they actually removed more than 14. The same people that crucified our Savior. These same people taught lies in their schools of theology. 66 books are not the complete story. If it were, then why would they remove over 14 books from the original King James Bible that was compiled in 1611? Esther ends in the Bible. For Mordecai, the Jew, was next unto King Ahasuerus, and great among the Jews, and accepted of the multitude of his brethren, seeking the wealth of his people, and speaking peace to all his seed. That's Esther 10 and 3. But Esther 10 and 3, let me keep reading. Esther picks up at verse 4, same chapter 10. Also, there are 6 additional chapters in the book of Esther, in the Apocrypha. It picks up with the same people. Verse 4, then Mordecai said, God have done these things. For I remember a dream which I saw concerning these matters, and nothing thereof hath failed. A little fountain became a river, and there was light, and the sun, and much water. This river is Esther, whom the king married and made queen, and the 2 dragons are I and Haman. And the nations were those that were assembled to destroy the name of the Jews, and my nation is this Israel, which cried to God and were saved. For the Lord hath saved his people, and the Lord hath delivered us from all those evils, and God hath wrought signs and great wonders which have not been done among the Gentiles. Therefore hath he made 2 lots, one for the people of God, and another for all the Gentiles. And these 2 lots came at the hour and time and day of judgment before God among all nations. So God remembered his people and justified his inheritance. Therefore those days shall be unto them in the month Adar, the 14th and 15th day of the same month, with an assembly and joy and with gladness before God, according to the generations forever, forever, among his people. Esther Editions, chapter 10, verses 4 through 13, King James Version Apocrypha. Like I said, 66 books is not the complete story. Look at him. Hair wraps. You've always worn bonnets and stuff like that. And when you see these pictures right here, these pictures are all by this Ted Clark person. And this is something like what she would have looked like. I am so sorry, y'all, but you know, my phone is a little older, but hey, that's gonna be solved real soon because I will be getting me a 25 boy, the Ultra 25. Sometimes I just have a hard time focusing. But like I said, it's about the pictures anyway, mostly. Because that scripture, you know. Mm, mm, mm. I'm so sorry that this focus is like this. Yo, I am so sorry about how my phone be bugging, man. But I have an older phone, and yes, I am an Android user. But I love my Android. You know, I've had iPhones in the past, but I'm just not an iPhone user. Um, I love my droids, and I love the Samsung brand. That's the only droid that I will use, and so it's top of the line. Um, the Samsung Ultra, so I will be getting the 25 that just came out recently. I will be getting that sometime in July. Guess I'll call it a late birthday present to myself. But so bear with me, you know. And so definitely want to thank you for your time, for your support. Um, yeah, it's kind of a little late, so I definitely need to be getting myself some rest. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to, get this video done. Now I gotta wait to post this. I gotta wait to post this after I post King David. So that means I gotta do King David. So I'm gonna get King David out the way, post that, and then I will post this. And thank you for your time, for your patience. And I decided to do Queen Hadassah because I wanted women to know, like, there were prominent, like, and very important women in the Bible, you know, such as Queen Hadassah or Esther. Like I said, this is how I like to learn the Bible. Um, and there was a judge named Deborah, you know, even Christ's mother, Miriam, played a significant role. So, women, you are important. You are valued. Um, I know there's a lot of things that are going right now that are not good, but we shall make it through it. Those that are strong enough to endure to the end. And so I pray that, I pray we will all be ready for his return. That's a song. But thank you so much for your time, for your patience, and yeah, it's getting late, so I'm about to head out to bed and go to bed. Have a good night.